Hey everyone, and welcome. Think about any huge project. You've got a ton of moving parts that all have to click together just right. But what about the space in between all those parts? That's what we're diving into today. Interface management. It's the art of managing those critical and often invisible connections that can make or break a project.
So, right off the bat, let me ask you a question. Imagine you're running a massive, multi-billion-dollar project. You've got dozens of contractors, thousands of people, all this stuff happening at once. What do you think is the single biggest threat to your success? Your mind probably jumps to things like budget overruns, not getting materials on time, or some big technical glitch. And yeah, for sure, those are all massive risks. But the research actually points to something a little more subtle, something that sneaks up on you: the gaps, the handoffs, the points where different teams, different systems are all supposed to connect. In our world, we call these interfaces. All right, so let's dig into this high-stakes problem, because when things get this complex, you're about to see exactly why having structured, documented communication isn't just nice to have, it's everything. Now, this isn't just a gut feeling or somebody's opinion. This is backed up by some serious research from the Construction Industry Institute, or the CII. And what's so powerful here is the direct line they've drawn. When you put a formal process called interface management, or IM, into place, it has a direct, positive, and totally measurable impact on whether your project succeeds or fails. So, what kind of impact are we really talking about? Well, the CII boils it down to these 4 game changers. Yeah, you get better stakeholder alignment and clearer communication, that's a given. But it's more than that. It's about getting real-time visibility into how all those connections are holding up. And that lets you go from just reacting to problems to proactively heading off risks before they ever get a chance to spiral. Okay, we've seen the problem, we know the stakes are high, so what's the actual solution here? This is where interface management steps in. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like it's the project's central nervous system. It's the network that connects every single muscle, every organ, and makes sure they all work together as one. So here's the official definition. IM is the management of communications, relationships, and, here's the most important part, the deliverables that get passed between stakeholders. It's a formal discipline. Its whole purpose is to make absolutely sure nothing, and I mean nothing, falls through the cracks. And it's really important to know that these interfaces come in 2 main flavors. First, you've got hard interfaces. These are the physical, tangible connections. A pipe connecting to a pump or a steel beam meeting a concrete foundation. But then you've got soft interfaces, which are the intangible ones. Things like contractual boundaries, passing data from one team to another, or getting regulatory approvals. Both are equally critical, and trust me, either one can stop a project dead in its tracks if you don't manage it right. So, how does your organization actually get good at this? Well, the good news is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. The CII develops something called the IM Maturity Model. Think of it like a roadmap. It's a framework that lets you see where you are right now and then gives you a clear step-by-step guide to get better and really nail your IM processes. All right, a framework is great, but let's get practical. How do you actually do this on a real, live project? That's going to take some specific processes and tools to turn this whole idea of interface management from just a strategy into a system that actually works. At the core of it all is the Interface Management System, or IMS. Now hold on, this isn't just a piece of software. It's the entire systematic approach. It's the defined, repeatable process your project uses to find, document, control, and close out every single interface, from the very first day all the way to the final handover. And this lays out the life of an interface perfectly. It all starts with identification. You got to find every single connection point. Then it gets formally documented and info gets transferred. But it doesn't stop there. There's constant communication and monitoring to make sure everything's on track, right up until that interface is formally closed, verifying that the job is done. And to make that 6-step process run smoothly, you need a few key tools. Your Master Interface Plan, or MIP, that's basically the rulebook for how you're going to handle IM on the project. The Interface Data Register, or IDR, is your central log, the one single source of truth for every interface. And then, of course, dedicated IMS software just makes the whole thing way more efficient and gets rid of a ton of waste in the process. So, we have the process, we have the tools, but they don't run themselves, right? At the end of the day, success really comes down to the people behind the plan, the roles they play, the responsibilities they have, and the culture they build. And in any successful IM program, you're going to find two roles that are just absolutely non-negotiable. First, you've got the interface manager. They're the strategic leader, the one looking at the big picture. And then you have the interface coordinator. They're on the front lines, managing the day-to-day details and communication.
So what does it take to be good in these roles? Well, it's actually less about being a technical expert and way more about being the project's diplomats and problem solvers. They have to be masters of influencing and negotiation because they're managing relationships across completely different companies. Strong communication and leadership, that's the bedrock of their success. But really, the ultimate goal here isn't just about fixing one project. It's about creating a lasting culture. A culture where managing interfaces isn't some extra chore, but just a normal, routine part of how your organization gets work done. It's just what you do.
So if we were to boil all of this down to just one single idea, it's this. You need just one cohesive system. A mix of process, people, and technology all working together to connect every contractor, every team, and every single component of your project. That's what interface management gives you.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought to take back with you. I know you've got a detailed plan for the steel, for the concrete, for the software, a plan for every major piece of the puzzle. But what's your plan for the space in between?